Time again for another installment of the basics, and on today's episode I want to talk about a serious issue in the world of CCGs, and that is cheating. There are many different ways to cheat in CCG play, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to spot cheaters and what they might do. And this can happen if you're playing with your friends. You might have a dishonest friend, I'm not saying you do, or you might see signs of it in a tournament because the judges can't catch everything and sometimes they don't. So let me show you. Believe it or not, cheating still happens, and it has been prevalent in CCG since the very beginning. I've seen cheating go down, I've been a victim of it, and I've seen people get kicked out of tournaments for cheating. And one of the most easiest signs that someone is cheating right off the bat, and this goes for any card game, not just Magic, is a reluctance to shuffle their deck. This would suggest that they have the top portion of their deck set up specifically for quick and easy, decisive victories. Decks have to be shuffled. Tournament play, house rules, what have you, you have to shuffle your deck. It's part of the actual rules of every card game. If someone's not shuffling their deck or finding creative ways to get around it, then that game should immediately be either stopped and that player should be removed very quickly. A less common type of cheating you see is you sit down with another player who's playing a CCG, and I'm using a little mini package of Warhammer 40,000 for this. Someone comes to the table with their deck, and you can see a side package of cards like this of the same game. Maybe they've got it off to the side, or you've seen them put it into their pocket just before they've sat down. There's no rule against having a secondary package like this in your pocket, unless, of course, you're reaching into there without someone seeing you who's too engrossed in the game and pulling out cards. At most tournaments, you're not allowed to have anything out on the table but your draw deck, playmat, counters, what have you. So keep an eye out for that. Another easy way that people cheat is if you play anybody that does not have a deck encased in card sleeves. The reason for that is anyone who keeps a deck that doesn't have penny sleeves over the cards, the cardboard glossing on the cards does stick together, and they can use that to draw two cards instead of one into their hand without even you noticing, because they can keep their thumb on a corner of the card to make sure they draw two. Now, I had a game years ago of the Star Trek card game where I specifically tested this before I put a deck in plastics. A friend of mine specifically were testing cheating methods, not because we were cheaters, but because we wanted to see if it was possible from what we've heard from tournaments at the time. And yes, cards that don't have sleeves do stick together, and you can cheat with them. One of the last things I want to talk about mainly is for the Star Trek customizable card game, and that is the side deck. Now, by rule, a side deck can be only a maximum of 15 cards, which are here. Now, of course, any deck or side deck that is encased in penny sleeves does look a little thicker than 15 cards. It is well within the rules for you to ask your opponent to make sure that there's the right amount of cards in his side deck. You're allowed to do that. Or if you're at a tournament, you can call a judge over and he can count everyone's cards to make sure that the draw deck and the side deck have the bare minimum or the maximum, if there is one, for a draw deck. So don't hesitate just to ask if off the cuff if your opponent has the right amount of cards. You're actually doing everybody a favor, not so much just for cheating, but to make sure everyone's prepared for the game. It's an easy way to negate any problems. Now, one thing that I like to do when playing house rules with my friends is to make sure that if you have card boxes, because everyone, when you're playing house rules, you bring all your cards so you can build decks on the fly and have a great day of fun. But one of the rules I like to input is anyone that has their boxes with them, they have to be pushed way aside or put them in a different room while you're playing the game with the deck on the table or on the floor. That way no one can reach into a box. I'm not saying it'll happen, but it's too easy. Oh, you know what, if I had that card in my deck. In tournaments, you're only allowed to bring one or two decks to the table, and the other one has to be in reserve somewhere where it's out of sight, say underneath the table. If your opponent sits down and he's got two decks right off the bat and he kind of puts one on his lap, or if he comes to the table with a box, that is a red flag right away. So I'm not saying that you're on the lookout to rat every opponent out, but cheating is so rampant in CCGs, you have to keep an eye on what's going on. It does happen. You can't just sit there and think, oh, no one's ever going to cheat. I'm just going to play normally. No, it happens. I've seen it. I've been a victim of it. It's as simple as that. Anyways, that's all for today. Have a great day.